Hello, Pumpkin Patch, your friendly neighborhood host JT Wheatley from the History of Comics podcast, back for another guest spot on the days of Halloween, and this time we're doing a special themed episode. We're going to talk about aliens. Cue the Ancient Aliens meme if you want to right there. That's especially themed aliens because we're going to talk about one of the greatest franchises in science fiction horror history, and that is the Alien franchise, with a little detour on a kind of a parallel movie. But let's get started. I will be talking about, of course, the classic 1979 Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, that launched the franchise. And in this movie, it's basically a story about the Nostromo, which is this takes place in the future, and this Nostromo is basically this giant cargo spaceship that's hauling some cargo from some mining colony somewhere, and the crew get woken up from their cryo sleep because it's still space travel. You gotta sleep, you get sleeping while you're traveling through years of space and so forth like that. You get woken up thinking, hey, it's time to go at Earth, or it's time to unload and go home. But no, it's a distress signal to this strange planet where they're told to, hey, you need to get down here and see what's going on. They go down to the distressed planet and they find this crazy alien spaceship. They find the carcass of what appears to be an alien, and they find this giant room filled with eggs. And one of the explorers, played by John Hurt, the egg pops up, face hugs him, and still one of the scariest moments I've ever seen. Still makes me jump even though the millisecond when it happens, because Ridley Scott directs this scene so brilliantly, like all the film. And they take him back inside, and sure enough, that facehugger deposited an egg inside his body, and an alien pops out. So they're stuck with this crazy alien trying to kill them while they're just trying to get home to deliver their cargo. So yeah, very simple plot, but the result is one of the best science fiction horror movies ever made. It is pristine, classic, perfectly directed by Ridley Scott. And fun little story about this, you can thank Star Wars for this, because this script, the original script by Dan O'Bannon, and with some work by Walter Hill, was kicking around Hollywood for years. But no, people said, nah, sci-fi is not cool anymore. But then Star Wars comes out in 1977, blows up the box office, like, oh, what do we got this sci-fi? Hey, Alien, let's take this. Alien's not Star Wars, except in one way, which I'll give it. I like Star Wars, where Star Wars showed the future kind of beat up, rusting, things not quite working. It's the same thing in Alien. Because we're basically dealing with space truckers. It's what this cast is. They're just the regular blue collar working class folks just trying to haul this cargo through space. But you can instantly relate to them, and what's great about this cast, of course, headlined by the brilliant Sigourney Weaver, who creates one of the great characters of all time in Ripley, a truly great heroine. And she's surrounded by a brilliant supporting cast. You have Tom Skerritt as the Captain Dallas. You got John Ian Holm as Ash, the Doctor. You got Yaphet Kotto and Harry Dean Stanton, two great character actors, the engineers. They're hilarious because they're classic engineers. Like, they're always coming up with excuses why they can't do something. They tell them like when the engine fails, like they tell the Captain Dallas, like, oh, it's going to take us at least 24 hours. And they turn off the comms, and that'll be 12. And Dallas knows it's going to take him 12, but he knows it's just something you have to deal with. Like, it's just working class stuff that you see in normal stuff, but it's in space. But now they're stuck dealing with this crazy creature. And once again, what's brilliant that Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, is such a great character. For another fun fact, she was not supposed to be played by a woman. She was written as a man, but Sigourney Weaver killed the audition so well. Ridley Scott's like, hey, bring her on. She's brilliant. And they didn't even change the character. She's still Ripley. It said, of course, her name's now Ellen Ripley, and she's just and she's actually one of the smarter characters. Like when John Hurt gets face hugged by the alien, she tells him, no, you can't come back in the spaceship. You have to be in quarantine for 12 hours until we make sure everything's kosher. If they listened to her, we would have none of this stuff. Other stuff would have happened, but we would have a movie eater. But yeah, you instantly relatable. Not a bunch of movie stars, not like a big movie stars. They became movie stars later because all these actors, you recognize their names. They all had great careers afterwards, and they all act smart. Like when the alien appears, they instantly say, let's kill it, let's quarantine it. There's one character that kind of acts weird, and you go like, what? And he causes a lot of the mayhem, but then when you find out what's behind his story, it's a great spoiler. I'm not trying to give away too much. I kind of want to just get the setup. But yeah, just a brilliant film. Ridley Scott got H.R. Giger to help design the alien, which makes him one of the great movie monsters of all time. He's just like creepy looking. Have you ever seen H.R. Giger's art? The guy, it's like, yeah, he has screw loose in the best kind of way. His art's just creepy and disturbing. He's all, the best way to describe it, he's almost like he's Lovecraft illustrated, if I was to give a description to it. And he also brought in Mobius, the great Jean Girard, who's this great French comic book artist and storyboard. He did like a few days of designs, but those few days practically designed the Stromo and their spacesuits. And that's the thing what's great about the Stromo. It looks like a giant space truck. It's just perfectly scary, brilliant film from beginning. It will have you on the edge of your seat. It's just a classic, monster in space, pretty much. And yeah, highly recommended. Last year when I did Days of Halloween, I mentioned that The Thing is my all-time favorite horror movie. This is a very, very, very close second. And in many ways, I think this movie's perfect. I can't think of a thing wrong with it. And it's so perfect, I just want to bring this up again. This DVD has the theatrical cut and the director's cut. Fun fact, Ridley Scott will tell you he prefers the theatrical cut. The director's cut, they decided to throw it in there, with DVDs, give extra footage and longer editions and stuff like that to sell it. But he says the extra additional scenes, while we're seeing, they slow down the film. He says, no, the film it hits the film and it loses momentum. He says, stick with the theatrical cut. That's his preferred cut of the movie. Now, of course, this film was a huge success, critical in the box office, won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. When you see it, you understand why. I still hope to this day, because it's all great, brilliant practical effects. But, and of course, we go, where's the sequel? Well, funny thing, sequel took a little while, but it finally came along. And this is also the next classic film, and also great double feature, Alien and Aliens, the 1986 film directed by James Cameron, who also wrote the screenplay. Now, in this one, Ripley wakes up, give up slight spoiler from an alien, but she wakes up from her cryo sleep, which she escaped in an escape pod, 57 years in the future. Because it overshot where it's supposed to land, and now she's stuck in the future. And she tells them, hey, this alien attacked our vessel, but no one believes them. The Weyland-Yutani, which is the corporation that owned the trucking company, the cargo and everything like that, and they're blaming her for blowing it up. And she's mad, like no one believes her. But then she tells them, hey, the planet where that alien was, go there. There's eggs there. Go destroy those things. And they say, oh no, it's fine. It's called Hadley's Hope. It's a colony now. It's like, what? And sure enough, someone at the colony apparently gets word. They say, let's go check out this location where this woman, this crazy lady from the past, says there's a bunch of alien eggs. And mayhem ensues. The Weyland comes up and they said, hey, we're going to send you a batch of Marines this time to take care of this problem. And Sigourney Weaver's like, Ripley is like, I don't want to do this. This is crazy. But she realized I have to face my past because she's having nightmares. She's having visions of the alien bursting out of her chest still. Says, I'm going to go there, I'm going to face it, I'm going to probably help these colonists too. And she goes there with this great batch of Marines. Naturally, they get to the colony, things don't go as planned because it's not just alien this time, it's aliens. Once again, Sigourney Weaver, brilliant as Ellen Ripley. This time she's dealing with the PTSD from the previous film, but she's still a smart, compassionate, great character. She's always trying to do what's right when it comes to how to deal with the aliens. Like, she doesn't even go, let's kill the darn things. Like, yeah, she's the smartest person. Just kill them. They're evil. They want to kill us all and blow them up, yeah. And once again, great supporting cast. You got Michael Biehn as Hicks, one of the Marines. You have Bill Paxton as Hudson, doing what he does in movies, which is saying all the best lines and stealing every scene. You have Lance Henriksen as Android Bishop, another great character. You have Paul Reiser from he does Mad About You and Stranger Things later, but Paul Reiser as the corporate guy working for Weyland-Yutani, also helping out. Yeah, great rich cast of Marines, and what's like the previous film, not a bunch of movie stars, feel like real faces with they've been through stuff. And of course, how this movie came about was reportedly James Cameron went to Fox and said, I got an idea for the sequel to Alien. He wrote on the chalkboard Aliens, but at the end he put dollars. He made it into a dollar sign, telling them how much money they're going to make when this thing happens. Well, yeah, he told Fox, hey. And it was a bit of a problematic shoot because Cameron's known to be an insane perfectionist, but usually most of his films at the end of the day turn out great. And he also brought on some other great work. He brought in Sid Mead, the great architectural designer, who designed the vehicles for the Marines who land on the space colonies, for the Space Marines and so forth. And of course, Stan Winston, the great Stan Winston, came in to do the creature effects, including for one particular alien who's one of the probably most memorable aliens you'll ever meet. Try not to spoil it. Granted, this hard film not to spoil at this point. These are classics that everyone's practically seen at this point. And another great thing about what James Cameron does, even though the first Alien was a true horror film, this is more of an action thriller. Still got plenty of horror though, because these aliens still scary. They still want to kill you. You still want them to die. Similar to how he did with his own Terminator franchise. Terminator, it's kind of a straight monster chasing people horror film. Terminator 2, action thriller. Both still awesome. Great sequels all around. But yeah, perfect double feature. If you need a late night double feature of some classic movies, you can't go wrong with Alien and Aliens. Great films all around. And of course, Aliens, like Alien, won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects. Great work. And also, and I have to bring this up, Sigourney Weaver was nominated for Best Actress for Aliens. Yeah, which was great. It was like he was on the breakthrough for a horror science fiction film, and she deservedly so. She was brilliant in the film, and like I said, Ellen Ripley still one of the great characters. And also to bring this up, Aliens, and this is you get the theatrical cut and director's cut. James Cameron prefers the director's cut because in order to get it down to the theatrical cut for Fox to release in cinemas, he had to cut on a whole reel that featured more about the Hadley's Hope to Colony, and also for more character moments and so forth like that. And he prefers the director's cut. So if you want to watch it, well, both versions are great, but the director's cut is the preferred director's cut on this one. For the underrated film, because like I said before, when I do underrated movies, it's movies that are flawed but still have mostly good things about it. And well, there's definitely one of them, and that is Alien 3. Came out in 1992, directed by David Fincher. Now in this one, Ripley once again wakes up from cryo sleep, heading off to finds herself now on a prison planet, thinking that why she hasn't got to Earth and she's the only survivor left from Aliens, which is unfortunate because if you've seen the end of Aliens, there were more than a few characters left over. I'm not give too many spoilers away. Like I said, classic films, how you spoil it. But she's on this prison planet with like a bare prison population, and but she thinks she's finally freed this alien. Prisoners start getting picked off mysteriously, and then she gets word from Landing Utali that corporation is suddenly zeroing in on her, coming to pick her up. Okay, she realizes they're coming for the alien, so they have to kill this thing before they can get it and use it for their evil corporate plans or whatever. Once again, Sigourney Weaver is brilliant as Ellen Ripley, great, who's now really dealing with the grief in general. She's like, it's a very nihilistic film, but her performance really shines through, and she has a great supporting cast. Charles Dance is a sympathetic doctor with a tragic past, has a great rapport with her. Charles S. Dutton as this prison preacher. It's like fire and brimstone. He really does a great job in the movie. And David Fincher, despite all the pressure the studio was putting on him being his first theatrical feature, he's originally a music video and commercial director before this, he's put on a pretty decent film, and he has some cool camera shots from the perspective of the alien running up and down the walls and so forth. And the alien itself, this is like a faster, sleeker alien. It's not as like the previous one. And so overall, it's a fun little horror film, like an offshoot of Alien. Because personally, I don't like the ending either. I prefer the original Aliens ending, and I prefer like you have to have a happy ending every now and then. If you're going to do something to characters, don't do it off screen, because that's the worst thing. The characters get killed off screen that you fell in love with from the previous Aliens. But that being said, you still have a fairly competent film once you get past that gut punch from the beginning. And also with this one, do try to pick up the special edition. When they came out with all these Blu-ray DVDs for the Alien set, they were approached David Fincher and said, "Hey, would you like to do your director's cuts?" And he had a hard time with the first one. He goes, "No, I don't want to ever work on that movie again. I'm done with it." And he refused to talk to it to this day. It was such a hard experience for me. He just hates the film, or just hates his experience. So that's how bad the experience was. Thankfully, he went on to make other great movies like Seven, a great horror film in its own right. But he told them, like, you have the notes for my idea for they call it the assembly cut, which is on this, which is on most of the DVD Blu-ray features. And he said that's close to my preferred version. It's not the official version, but make that. You have my blessing. So yeah, definitely check out the assembly cut, which expands more into Prison Planet, more character development, which helps with the horror films, because we create characters and develop them. You didn't care about when they die and what happens to them, like that's like a key for our movies in general. But yeah, Alien 3, not the best movie, but honestly, still worth the kind of nice little offshoot, still worth watching, still pretty well made. And honestly, when you look at the rest of the franchise, it's the third best movie in the franchise. Granted, it's not saying much, because you had Alien Resurrection a few years later, which was a weird, crazy mess with some cool shots by a French director, and yes, Ron Perlman's in it, but Ripley also wants to have sex with the alien. I have no idea what's going on. That movie's just crazy. But then Ridley Scott came back in 2012 with Prometheus, with the movie, it's supposed to be a prequel to Aliens, but instead of having smart, intelligent killers, he has some of the dumbest people you ever met. You have a cartographer whose job is to map out a temple so no one gets lost. He's the one that gets lost. You have a biologist who knows you should never stick your face into an organism that you don't have anything about, but he sticks his face in an organism. These people deserve to die because they're morons. Heck, yeah, people that should have been run sideways from a giant ship rolling next to it. It's like this movie is stupid, where Alien was so smart, and you don't know what happened because it's from the same director. But thankfully, Ridley Scott came back in 2017 with Alien Covenant. Ridley Scott, have you even seen Alien? To a happier note, for the fourth film in my picks for this day, I have the classic horror thriller Predator from 1987, directed by John McTiernan. Now, in this one, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a Special Forces commando named Dutch. He leads his team to go on a rescue mission in South America with his old friend Carl Weathers from the CIA, whose name is Dylan, and they have an epic Dutch-Dylan handshake that's been mean forever now. But it turns out the rescue mission isn't exactly what they told him to. Also, now they're stuck in the jungle, this weird alien predator creature is hunting and picking them off one at a time. What makes this movie so effective is that it's pretty much like the classic Monster in the Woods, but this time it's like monster, instead of monster picking off scared teenagers, it's a monster alien picking off special forces. And John McTiernan does a great job setting up how badass these guys are, in the fact that they are one of the earlier action scenes. They go into this rebel communist camp and just wipe the floor with these guys. And it shows like these are super skilled special forces soldiers. So when the Predator starts wiping them out, it really emphasizes how scary this guy is, because these guys are like the best of the best, and he's treating them like mincemeat. And the Predator is like a true classic monster villain, created by ultimately Stan Winston, who was brought on after the fact because, of course, like a lot of production movies, this movie had a lot of production problems. Like the cast got Montezuma's Revenge, which is basically when a bunch of North Americans come down to South America and their body's not used to the microbes in the water, they get really sick. And also, of course, with the heat, they were shooting in the jungle, they got dehydrated. And also, the original alien design looked horrible. He was like this weird red suit to emphasize his invisibility. He looked like a weird crab almost. And it was played by a then unknown Jean-Claude Van Damme, who reportedly also did some body doubling for Arnold Schwarzenegger in this film, which I can kind of see. Has the same similar body type, but him as the alien, or as the Predator, just was not working, so they kicked him off the set, and Arnold reportedly called up his friend Stan Winston from the Terminator and said, "Stan, come down to South America and save my movie!" And reportedly, Stan Winston said that's literally what he said to him on the phone call. And Stan Winston had to leave the set of the Monster Squad, like his dream project. He was doing his versions of the universe of monsters he grew up watching and loving and wanted to make his own version of. And he flew down there, and on the way he's like, how do I design a new creature? And he remembered James Cameron, who he's also worked with from Terminator, said, I've always wanted to see an alien with like mandibles, like for a face, like in their jaws. Like, okay. And sure enough, that's the ultimate design of the Predator, which he designed. It's a brilliant design. And he designed it where it can actually run around and move in the jungle pretty reliably. And this creature was played by the great Kevin Peter Hall, great large 7'2" stunt performer who had just left the set of Harry and the Hendersons playing the Bigfoot, and now he goes to play the Predator. He got to play two iconic creature monsters in the year of 1987. And once they got everything worked out, they ended up making a classic horror thriller, one of the best ever made, a great companion piece to Alien, since they're kind of parallel owned by the same company, Fox. And at one point they start going Alien vs. Predator. Didn't quite work out, those movies. Kind of fun. Maybe the first one with Paul Thomas Anderson, but outside of that, never quite delivered on the promise. I would recommend the comic books for that. But but definitely go back, check out the 1987 Predator, which could be a good double feature with one of the Alien movies too, but by itself, just a classic on its own right. For my other media viewing, we're going to keep with the Alien theme, but particularly the Alien franchise, and that is the Alien Isolation video game from 2014, which was originally released on the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, and the PC. In this, remember Amanda Ripley, who I talked about back in the Aliens review? Well, she's not. This game takes place 15 years after the events of Alien, where a grown-up Amanda Ripley is still looking for her mother, figuring out what happened to her in the Nostromo. And when she gets word that the black box from the Nostromo has popped up on this space station out in deep space called the Solace Pool, and sure enough, she joins the crew to go out there to figure out what's going on. But when she gets to the space station, the place is derelict. People are like dead or disappeared. And she goes, "What's going on?" Sure enough, she finds out the reason why her mom disappeared: a freaking alien on that space station. And in this game, the point of this is it's a survival horror game from a person's perspective. And they make a point early on: you ain't killing the alien. You gotta hide from it, you gotta run from it, or it's gonna kill you. And if you do the first two things, it's still gonna kill you anyway, because this thing's hunting you constantly. It's just brilliantly designed. It clearly captures the aesthetic of the first Alien movie, because down to the look of the technology, the green paneled computer text on the screens, like an Apple II computer, which technology wise today is outdated, but it has that aesthetic that still fits and works for it makes you feel like you're in the Alien movie, just bar none. And and I love how, and of course you don't have to just deal with the alien, you deal with some humans that are acting up, some malfunctioning androids, while just running and hiding from this crazy alien that will kill you in pretty horrific rage when it catches you. It's the game developers had some fun making the deaths in this game, I'll tell you that much. And of course, I've also heard apparently there's a VR version of this game. No, I nearly had a heart attack playing the regular version. I'm not going to be immersed completely and have an alien kill me that way. I'm done. But but that being said, if you like survival horror games, check out Alien Isolation from 2014. It's still available, of course, on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And I understand they're working on getting it ported over to the current generation of consoles. But yeah, great survival horror game. Probably one of the scariest video games you'll ever play. And now for a quick roundup for this day of Halloween. For your Halloween classics and late night double feature, check out Alien, and of course its classic sequel Aliens. And for an underrated film, if you want to give it a shot, check out Alien 3. Not as good, but still worth checking out, in my opinion. And also check out Predator, a classic alien film in its own right. Yeah, and now, of course, if you like the sound of my voice at least, because like you see, I have the first tip for podcasting, check out the History of Comics podcast on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. And of course, the podcast itself on all podcasting platforms, Apple, Spreaker, Stitcher, and so forth. And if you like this fancy shirt I got, this is, of course, from the Redbubble Fall Horsemen page. Go to Redbubble, just look up the Fall Horsemen, you see a lot of great horror-themed merchandise just like this. And this is, of course, an homage to the scariest Jason Voorhees of all, the Jason from the NES game, because no one killed that Jason. And of course, most importantly, be sure to click or treat, like, share, subscribe to this video, and come back again for another Days of Halloween. And join us, the Fall Horsemen, where fall is forever. Okay. And that. Alright, good material. Let's go ahead and probably just do this. Aliens. Now, a fun story about. Alright. And I just got the little message thing. Okay, that's weird. I should probably silence my stuff right quick. Get another take on that. Great.
James and I've had that problem too.
Alright, there's a little button in the back right there. It says, material, James. I ain't any moron. Hey, James, blooper material.
Yeah, just this one where the little camera symbol, not camel symbol.
Oh, jeez. I think the camel symbol's for getting free cigarettes.
Yes, James has pushed that many times, it's never worked.
I told something, so, alright, let's get these in order. And a quick, that is what, that was, yeah, let's do a quick silence here. Yes. Can't use this stuff. Okay. Alright. Yeah. Well, yeah, he told Fox,